Welcome to Skills to Pay Your Bills. This is a special segment called the Wealth Zone University, and hello, I'm your host, Don Moragne. Today, we've got another special show, folks, I'm sorry, but this show is really a show that lends itself to what we've been talking about. All of our guests today are women, all of my guests today are women in business, and as you know, that's a favorite subject of ours. We're gonna start by going and having the business women introduce themselves, and I'm going to start with my newest friend, Mary. Mary, would you tell us about yourself, about your business, and take your time because we really want to know who you are.
Sure, Don, I would love to do that. My name is Mary Gillen, and I am a retired Air Force colonel, and my business is M2G, Dynamic Leadership Solutions. This business is a service-disabled owned and woman-owned business that specializes in information technology services and leadership development. Wow. I happen to also be a John Maxwell certified leadership coach, speaker, and trainer, and I am the developer of the core leadership model, in which I've actually published a book on that particular model. So I look forward to today's meeting.
Fantastic. And you said you published a book on core leadership?
Yes. Yes,
wow.
I've actually done 2 books in the leadership realm, and my latest book is the core leadership development model.
Okay, great. Hopefully we'll get to talk more about that. Hello, Cynthia.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Please tell us about yourself and about your business.
Sure, I'd be happy to. First, thanks for inviting me to participate in this discussion. I'm Cynthia KARNIK. I am the founder and CEO of GOVPARTNERS, LLC. We are a woman-owned and minority-owned small business that was founded in 2009 to assist small businesses with navigating through the government procurement process. And since our inception, we have evolved to not only assist the commercial sector, but also the government sector. And our mission really is to prepare to win and perform to expand. So meaning that, it's just as important to prepare to win that business, but it's also equally important to perform through stellar customer service and having good past performance to, expand to other customer base and keep that client base going. So we help our clients do that. And we also provide our core competencies, our acquisition management support services through the whole cycle, as well as third-party observation and support services.
Fantastic. Now, do you work with companies that are not government contractors also to get their?
We do, okay. We do. We help them, and most companies, we help them kind of do the first analysis to determine if they are ready to enter the market, and if they're not, what they need to do to get prepared to enter the market. So we give them that, kind of roadmap to take to prepare them and give them kind of the first, kind of qualifiers, help them determine how they can get there and if they are serious about it. Because, we want to make sure that the companies don't say, we want that business, but you want to put 1 foot in the water. You have to put 2 feet in the water to be able to get there. Because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Everybody would do it. I like
That's
that.
right.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
Hello, Sharon.
Hello, how are you, Don?
Doing very well.
I'm great.
Could you please tell us about DMV Empowerment Zone?
Absolutely. I am the CEO and founder of DMV Empowerment Zone, which is a new nonprofit. And our nonprofit is really to help individuals identify their purpose, identify their passion, and to follow their dream. And so I do that by drawing on my skills, which is as an attorney. I'm an attorney, been practicing for 25 years. In addition to being the CEO and founder of DMV Empowerment Zone, I'm also the owner of my own law firm, Sharon Stiles Anderson, Esquire. Okay. And so as an attorney by trade, what I found in working with a lot of nonprofits, a lot of small businesses, a lot of individual entrepreneurs is sometimes their purpose and their passion are not meeting, or sometimes their purpose and passion collide. And then I think as Cynthia said, while they might put 1 foot in the water, they don't know how to put 2 feet in the water, or they jump in head first instead of feet first and end up drowning because they haven't followed the steps that they need to follow legally, financially, even emotionally and spiritually. I also am a pastor. I have a doctorate in ministry. Wow. Okay. So my business is really holistic so that the whole person can identify what their passion is so that they can really pursue their dreams, and then also providing the technical assistance to help them get there.
I like that.
And I might do it through direct legal services. I might do it through coaching, life coaching skills. I might do it through executive leadership training, very similar to what Dr. Gilliam does. But again, it's a holistic model, but really drawing upon passion and purpose. Because what I found in my experience, particularly as a lawyer, is there are a lot of individuals, they're either following a course that's not their passion, and then they get burnt out. We see a lot of people committing suicide today because they're not happy with themselves and they're not happy with their career. Or oftentimes we see people that are ready to make a change in their career. They've been working for the government for years and they want to be entrepreneurs. And so how do they make that transition? And it can be frightening, it can be scary. Again, because the models are different legally, there's really some strategic development that's necessary. And so oftentimes folks think, well, I'm too afraid to follow my passion and my dream, so I'll stay stuck in a position that I don't like, and that leads to depression.
Absolutely.
It leads to broken homes. It can lead to abuse. And so again, DMV Empowerment Zone is to empower people to follow their passions, but to give them the tools strategically to do that, whether it be technical or spiritual.
Fantastic.
And thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. ANAIS. Did I do it correctly?
Almost.
Almost. We have to practice.
Very
Please, give it to me.
ANAIS.
ANAIS. Okay,
Yes.
great.
So thank you for having us here.
Thank you. And
I
it's
mean,
Top Shelf Cleaning,
Top
right?
Cleaning Service.
Okay, Top Cleaning
Yeah,
Service.
that's the company that I own with my husband. So I am biochemist. I've been working in medical research for over 20 years. And 4 years ago, we decided that we wanted to have something besides our careers, like business. So we started this company. It's a janitorial company, and we have a license, and we have bonded, and we work mostly with companies, but we also work with commercial and also with the homes. So we have 3 or 4 companies that are our main contractors, but also we have a lot of housing that we do business. And our goal now is to start working with the government to start getting contracts with the government, which is not hard, but it's also not easy. So we want to learn how to do it, because I know that it can be done, but we don't know how to. But so that's one of the purposes that I'm here, trying to learn from all these people how to get that.
Well, you're with the right audience today. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I know that it's going to be very interesting today.
Good.
To learn a lot.
Audience, you know about holistic because Brenda Johnson has been on the show so many times. We know that concept, and that's a concept that we espouse. So this is going to be a lot of synergy. Now, before we get to the questions that we've got, I'd like to do 2 things. One, Mary, you've been in business for about a year.
Yes.
Cynthia, a couple of years.
5 years.
5 years. Sharon, you've been an attorney for 25 years,
Yes.
but your business is relatively new also.
Correct. 1 year.
And ANAIS, you told me that is about 4 years?
4 years, yes.
So we're all relatively new entrepreneurs.
That's correct.
Yes.
Can you tell me just briefly what made you want to be in business for yourself? As Sharon said, most people can't do it. They're crazy. So why are we crazy? Why are we taking our own risk? Tell us, Mary, just quickly.
Oh, thank you. That's a great question, Don. I really, I wanted to do it after I retired from the military, but I decided a little bit of fear there, so I decided to go as a government contractor, and then I went as a government employee. I was a senior executive service member, but that passion for wanting to own my own business was still there, and so I just decided, okay, Lord, what would you have me to do? And through praying about it and so forth, I just felt the peace that it was time for me to go, and I jumped out there with both feet and said, okay, Lord, here we go. And so, but that was really it. I just really wanted to do it.
Cynthia, how about you?
It was my passion. I mean, I was working for companies in the industry, mainly for government contracting. I was the VP of Business Development and Sales for companies for 20 plus years. And I worked well with a lot of the government contractors to help streamline some of the acquisition processes and reduce some of the costs. And there was a lot of ideas and things that I had in my head that I thought, we could implement, and a lot of companies could benefit from it. And when you're working with other companies, there's a kind of a targeted focus that doesn't really lay in line with what your vision is. And when you have that mission, it's unsettling not to go after it and go after it with both feet. So I'm a risk taker. When I see and kind of plan 5 years ahead, knowing what that market's going to look like, I thought it was the best time to kind of kind of take that leap and after planning for it and really try to help multiple companies within that market versus just kind of focusing on one.
Okay.
So
I applaud you too. Sharon, what made you take the leap? Well, you've been in
words.
private practice your entire life.
But passion and destiny.
Yes, yes.
Passion and destiny. I've always had a desire to help people. I went into law to help people. I started out as a public defender, and even working in a model like a public defender service, and I started out in DC, your cases were your own. You had the support of other lawyers, but you were really a lawyer on your own case. So you really could determine your destiny, your work hours that fit your lifestyle. And so my passion to help people really drove my desire to be able to think outside the box, to not have someone direct my destiny, but create my own as God had given it to me. And so again, very similar to Dr. Gilliam and Cynthia, I prayed about it, and the Lord said jump, and I jumped because I too am a risk taker and wanted to really help as many people as I could.
And ANAIS, tell us.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a common denominator between all of us. We always wanted to help people. We always wanted to give something that we have already received. So for many years we wanted to have something besides our jobs, because with a job you don't have as much opportunity to help others, like when you have something that you own, that you can decide where to go or how to do it. So we were praying for that, and God sort of like push us to the
both feet in the water.
Jump into the river, because at that time my husband was his job was terminated, so we were like, okay, and our daughter was going to the university, and we were like, okay, Lord, how are we going to do this? And so we decided, okay, this is the opportunity we've been looking for. This is the time, so we started. And it's been a blessing. I mean, we've been able to help people, offering jobs. Sometimes we think
Let's talk about that in a minute, because we're going to take a break right now.
Okay.
We are having such a good time here. We haven't even gotten to the questions. So the next segment, we're going to talk about some really critical things that are on the minds of these entrepreneurs. But for right now, I want you to kind of think of the things that holding you back from going into business for yourself, because we have a panel of people here that can help you if you give them a call. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes. Don't touch that dial. See ya. Hi, everyone. The objective of the Wealth Zone University is to change your mind about money so that you can change your financial future. Hi, I'm your host. In the Wealth Zone University segments, my guests and I talk about a wide variety of business, financial, and other worldly topics. We are seeking to both educate and entertain you. We emphasize, though, that the information and discussions that we have on the Wealth Zone University are my opinions, perspectives, and ideas, and those of our guests. We in no way intend to deliver or provide financial, tax, or business advice. You should consult with your accounting, financial, insurance, and legal advisors regarding the impact, application, and pertinence of any topic or opinion that we share in the Wealth Zone University. Thank you for being a part of our audience, and please continue to communicate with us through email and Twitter, because this is your show. Thanks. Welcome back. You've already met our panel of distinguished entrepreneurs. Now we're going to get a little bit deeper into the questions that I think are on their minds. We're going to try and answer for them, but we're also going to try and get a discussion out of this. So we need you to pay attention, because we're doing all of this for you. How about that? Cynthia.
Yes.
You had a couple of questions that you wanted to kind of share so that we could expand on them. Give me the first question.
Sure. My question is really related to a lot of our clients who once we are helping them get into the government contracting field, a lot of the government contracts require that they have an approved accounting system. So is there an approved accounting system that you would recommend for small businesses who don't have, the working capital that the large businesses have to take on in order to manage these contracts?
Now, I need to caveat this. We're not endorsing any particular accounting system, but we are talking specifically about brand names, okay? There's an accounting system called QuickBooks. It has a lot of variations. It's probably one of the best known accounting systems. And the reason it's easy is because it's like single entry, which means in accounting, normally there are two sides to everything,
right,
which we accountants love because they're checks and balances. QuickBooks allows the user to do one side, and the computer actually does the other side, so you don't have to think in the double entry perspective. It also is extremely adaptive because there's contact management inside, various types of reports that you can set up, and so it's a really inexpensive program for a small business that's starting up. The problem is you're dealing with the government contractors. And so government contractors have provisions, requirements, and mandates that they have to be aware of. A program like QuickBooks normally isn't set up to accommodate and comply with those mandates. And so what I recommend is that when you get a system like that you have to identify an accountant who knows both government contracting and knows the software, so they can make the software compatible with what you're going to have to comply with for DCAA and anybody else who has the authority to review your documentation. Being a government contractor carries with it a lot of compliance issues. Software, while it may be easy and adaptive to begin and to set up, if it's not providing the kind of reports and compliance that you want, that's terrible. The more established government contractors use companies like Deltek, C Corp, C Corp Pro, but those are really expensive programs. So when you're starting off, QuickBooks is an excellent program. Just make sure that there's an accountant who's setting it up initially, who knows government contracting and sets that up for your company so that they can then pass muster if they have to.
Great, that's great information, thank you.
Sure. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, how are you?
All right, talk to me.
I want to talk about the startup phase. And for the listeners out there that are watching this, they probably want to know, well, how do I get started? Financially, what should I consider when I'm thinking about getting into business for myself? So what should someone evaluate when they're making a decision about whether to take that jump with their 2 feet?
I'm going to borrow from you, though, because you have to have the passion. It has to be something that you absolutely want to do and something that you're good at.
Right.
And if you have those 3 things, the first thing you need to do is plan. There's no substitute for planning for going into business as far in advance as you possibly can. It's said that most small businesses go out of business in the first 5 years because of lack of capital. Well, while that may be a factor, I think it's because of lack of planning. Because in order to go from being employed where there's a steady paycheck to being an entrepreneur where there is no steady paycheck, that's a long leap. It's a stretch. And for most of us, in that first 6 months, 9 months, or a year, there is no steady revenue. And so that revenue then has to replace our former earnings, our living standard. I mean, you can see without appropriate planning that that initial startup phase can be quite expensive. Also, without appropriate planning, you haven't identified your customers, you haven't identified your expertise, and you haven't identified your marketing and your brand name. And those are the things that make you visible. And then lastly, they haven't determined how to deliver a quality work product. And all of those things, in my mind, are planning things that you should have done before you even step out there the first time. And so while lack of capital may be a concern, it's not a concern unless you're eligible to get that capital in the first place. And so planning, in my mind, is probably the most important thing a business can do before they step out into the entrepreneurial field. And then they have to continue it prudently once they go into business, because there's no substitute for trying to anticipate everything that's going to happen in your business. And you ladies know that as well as anybody else.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure. ANAIS.
Yes. going on the same line, talking about planning. So how a business owner that is coming from a job that has the 401k or 403b or the retirement plan set, jumps to a business, owning a business where it's in uncertainty. What am I going to do on my elder days? So how am I going to plan to do for a retirement? How that person or those owners can plan for the retirement? Can they take like monthly, or what is the procedure?
Sure. Now the thing that we have to understand is that most of us who start new businesses put ourselves last. We're trying to reach this dream, we're trying to reach this goal, and we know we're going to get there. So not taking care of ourselves the first 4 or 5 years is okay. We take care of the employees, we take care of the rent, we take care of everything else, and we're last. Unfortunately, when the revenue starts to come, we still don't have the mindset that we need to be planned for also. So again, it goes back to planning. When you are beginning to start establishing that business, you have to, whether you can afford it or not, you have to get a good attorney, you have to have a good accountant, you have to have a good advisor, and you should have someone in your industry who has an interest in you who's also on your advisory team. And so you may not be able to pay the accountant, but you need to have that accountant as a mentor. You may not be able to pay the lawyer, but you need to have that lawyer as a mentor. Most entrepreneurs don't take the time to establish that kind of relationship. And then secondly, they don't take the time to think about, I have to make sure that I'm in this equation early.
Yes.
Again, it's planning. So you may not be able to contribute to your retirement plan the first year or the second year, but you have to plan to do it, because it all boils down to cash flow. Really, it really does. And in all financial aspects of business, no cash, no business. Cash is king. I think we all heard that. And so it all boils down to planning. Now, what kind of retirement plan you have, when you start to contribute to it, all those things are a function of your operations and how well you do them. But not planning for it, or waiting until something magic happens before we start taking care of ourselves, that is something that we have to stop doing.
Yes.
We should be looking out for ourselves almost immediately.
So it doesn't matter that business is being like for 4, 3, 5 years, whatever. Whenever you realize that you have to do that, you should start.
You should
planning
start now.
Yes.
You should have started when you were doing your business plan.
Of course.
The way you operate your business will dictate when you have the cash funds to then begin it. But if you never think about it, you don't plan for it, then it's going to be put off because something else is going to come in.
Oh yeah,
that's important.
Something's
always will. Mary, hi.
Hi, Don. The question that I had dealt with crowdfunding, because as a new startup, I just wanted to get more information. First of all, what is it and how can I use it to apply to my business?
Now, crowdfunding is exciting. It's been around for a while, but a lot of talk about it because President Obama passed the Jobs Act in April 2012. And what that act did was, before that act, if you wanted to go and ask anybody to invest in your company, you had to register with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And that registration process is onerous. But it's there because they're trying to protect people who aren't savvy investors, for a better term. Crowdfunding had been pushed over into that requirement, and what the Jobs Act did was actually exempt it from that. So now you can go and ask anyone on the internet to fund your idea. They will, if they like the idea, they will give you money. They're not buying a part of your company. They're actually giving you money so that because they believe in you. So it's a process that it really has caught on, because if you look on the internet, a lot of companies have gotten anywhere from $4,000 to millions of dollars just by asking their friends, families, and on the internet for money. The thing you have to remember, though, crowdfunding is the ability for you to take your idea and share it with other people. And so in order for me to want to give you my money, I have to capture what you're talking about, believe in what you're talking about, visualize what you're talking about, and then want to help what you're talking about before I go into my wallet. And what a lot of companies do in crowdfunding, they just say, well, if I tell you I'm there, then I'll get the money. Not.
There's no test.
Not. You have to actually think about your marketing plan, your brand. What do you tell someone to get them excited about what you want to do?
Yeah.
That's the first part. Getting into crowdfunding is easy. There's Indiegogo, there's RockHub. There's so many companies out there that will get it to you. There is a cost though. It's not free. That's the secret, okay? So I want to crowdfund. I go and I say I want to write $5,000. There's a portion of it that if I don't raise that funds, the people who gave me money will then get their money back because I didn't reach my goal. But if I do raise my funds, then there's a portion of it that's taken by the internet company for raising the money. There's a portion by the transaction company, maybe PayPal or something like that, that moves the money. And so at the end, it's possible that it could cost you anywhere between 7 and 10% of the money that you raise, which if you're raising a lot of money, it's not a big thing, but if you're raising a little bit of money, it is a big thing. So those costs are there, but still, crowdfunding is a way for that ordinary person to get other ordinary people to give them money for their dream. And that didn't exist before the internet concept came along. Before that, it was my friends, our family, you know, we had to promise them we pay them back.
That's right.
You know, you had to beg on your knees, you know, if you, or you had to go to the bank and be, you know, turned down. And so crowdfunding is really, really a way to go.
Thank you.
Great. Absolutely. Now, we are running out of time. That is so terrible. You know? We need to do at least another hour with these ladies. So I'm going to ask them if they'll come back. Would you come back?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's great.
Love it.
Because I think you've enjoyed this, and I know I have. And really having these entrepreneurs, these female entrepreneurs, because the ladies in the audience, you already know, it's your time, you're leading, it's time for you to get out and join the entrepreneurial ranks. I'm going to say good night to each one of you, and tell the audience that we will see you again. And thank you for coming and sharing with us and being on the show. Give yourselves an applause. All right? Our goal is to change your mind about money so you can change your financial future. We'll see you soon.